Welcome to Inspired Changemakers, a podcast about all the amazing things people are doing to make the world a better place. This podcast is about creating change and the moments that inspired our guests to activate. My name is Julia Healy, and I'm the CEO of United Charitable. Stay tuned to be inspired. All right, well, Kirk, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
And so, Kirk, we have known each other now for a decade.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Isn't that insane?
That is. It's a long time.
Long time. And I am so excited to have you on here because I just admire what you're doing in your financial advisory firm. And so let me read your official bio.
Great.
So Kirk Cassidy is the president and CEO of Senior Planning Advisors and Strategic Investment Advisor. He is a fiduciary who holds a Series 65 securities license, as well as a life insurance license in Michigan and many other states. In addition, Kirk is an advisory board member for a $6.5 billion, wrong one, institutional money management firm. And the rest of this is you really believe in helping people.
We do. We've taken a very unique approach to this type of business that I hope is really impacting a lot of people's lives.
And you not only include making sure that people can retire and not, outlive their money, but you also talk about their charitable planning.
Yeah, we do. So it's something that's been important to my wife and I for many, many years for a lot of reasons. I think we're going to discuss some of that as we go along. But what we've learned is that if we can empower and educate people about what their resources can provide for them throughout retirement, if we can show them that they don't have to be afraid,
right,
which is the opposite of really what the financial service industry promotes.
Correct.
Right? I mean, I want you to think about this. The more afraid your listeners are, the public is, the less money they're going to spend. The less money they spend, the more the financial service industry makes.
Right.
So there's an incentive to create fear and anxiety and tell people to spend less in retirement, change their spending patterns during major market events. So our goal is to help educate people enough to understand that they don't need to change their lifestyle during short-term market events, which you're going to have 4 to 7 times in a retirement.
Right.
And if I can educate them enough to understand that they are not going to outlive their money, then things that are important to many, many people that never thought they could really make an impact, now they can use those resources to make an impact. So yes, it's a very large part of our practice. We have in the $70 million range of our $2 billion we're responsible for now. About $70 million of our clients' monies are earmarked through donor advised funds, qualified charitable distributions, charitable trust, endowments that are going to charity.
It's insane. So where did this start? So where did this philanthropy journey start? Was it growing up?
So, a little unusual. This isn't maybe a typical story. Growing up, and I know you wanted to talk a little bit about my background and where I came from to understand how I got where I'm at. So growing up, I had an unusual childhood. By the time I was 18 years old, my parents were upper middle class to bankrupt. 3 times. Yeah, 3 times. It's possible. I mean, literally, with brand new Cadillac Sevilles to driving Pintos and eating Spam. So, and it's part of the reason I got into this industry is I needed structure, stability, and planning. But through all that, I had 2 parents that were very, very loving, compassionate, caring people, not just to us, but to everybody. Like, my father probably was really the first major influence on how to help other people, whether it's through finances or just kindness. The things I can remember about my father is it didn't matter who you were, the color of your skin, if you were wealthy or poor, he treated everyone the same. He said hello to everybody. He opened the door for everyone. He was respectful to everyone. My mom and dad had obviously businesses. And they were industrial businesses that usually hired people in lower income communities. And Dad would always hire the people that were most down on their luck or made mistakes and needed second chances. And the thing my father would always do then is we grew up in Southfield, Michigan, may not mean something to you.
Right.
But in Southfield, when I grew up, was, I don't know, probably 30% black, 30% white, and we had 20% Jewish, and then Arab Chaldean.
Yeah.
So we were a melting pot of people. And so my dad would bring some of his employees that from lower income communities, really down on the luck, often had been to jail. And my mom would get very angry, but he would bring them to our house, engage them into our family. They would have dinner, they would eat with us, they would do work around the house. He was trying to find ways to give them more money, more opportunities. Really, he was mentoring. That's what he was doing.
Yeah.
And so I grew up with all that love, compassion, and caring. And I know everyone has a story, but that really impacted me. And I think that's where it started. I'd like to think that's where it started.
And then, so now you've gone through the situation. So what was then your educational journey?
So one of the things, ironically, I have 3 half-brothers and a half-sister.
Okay.
Okay. Most of them being doctors. Most of them psychologists. My brother was my brother, Dr.
Yeah.
Paul Metler is a clinical psychologist. My sister's a neuropsychologist. But imagine, we grew up in a house where there wasn't much structure. It was a roller coaster. I mean, we went from the fillets to the spams. I'm serious. Yeah. It was like, we made it, we're broke. We made it, we're broke. And so I think that impacted all of us a little bit differently. They decided, I want to understand why.
Right.
Right? For me, my education was, okay, I'm going to go to school and I'm never going to own a business again in my life. That's what I had said because I watched my parents.
Yeah.
My dad's, they were serial entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say that they had bad advisors and bad help. Yeah, yes, they had a CPA, embezzle a lot of money, but ultimately it was their impulsiveness and their lack of planning that got them in trouble. Mm-hmm. So what do you think the first thing I did when I got out of school?
Start a business?
I did. I had a gentleman who was a physical therapist that I developed a pretty good relationship with, who wanted to open physical therapy clinics. I'm not a clinician.
Right.
And we decided, hey, let's open a physical therapy. And it blew up. We did really, really well very quickly. We had hundreds of referring neurosurgeons, orthopedic surgeons, neurologists, physiatrists, and we ended up selling that practice for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
At about 30 years old, and came into a lot of money. Right? I mean, more money than I could probably ever spend in my life. And in the back of my mind, all I could think about was, how am I going to blow it like mom and dad? Because they had done this. They did the same thing. I watched them do it.
And were you married at this point?
At this point, I was married to Jessica.
Okay.
Right? Who had a major influence in this decision, too.
Yeah.
So at that point, I decided, you know what? I'm going to take my money and I'm going to learn about money. I hired well-known, famous people like Ed Slott or Fran Tarkenton, who's a Hall of Fame football player who's in the financial service industry. A number of people in the financial service industry. Tell me what I do with my money. Explain to me about this.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I loved most about physical therapy is how we were helping people, treating people, getting people back post-surgically back to a normal lifestyle. And they are the ones, really, my mentors were the ones that convinced me, hey, you could really make an impact in this industry because you're going to start with resources most people aren't able to start a private small practice.
Right.
Right? And so I approached this whole business different than everybody. Totally differently. Like, it wasn't about selling something to make revenue. I didn't need to sell to eat. I didn't need that. I built a business model focused on the retention of a client, not the acquisition of the client. And I just did it, everything unconventional to what the industry was doing. And essentially what we do is we build truly holistic, customized plans. Like, it takes us 60 to 100 hours to build a retirement plan for people. We're running hundreds and hundreds of iterations. There's no software that develops this. This is mapping out taxes for 30 years. This is mapping out income streams. And our whole purpose and goal is how can I create the greatest amount of income for our clients without them ever worrying about outliving their money. And the result, because of the way we've done this, is we can create withdrawal rates of 6, 7, 8, 9%, which is double industry norms and standards.
I'd like to thank United Charitable for sponsoring today's Inspired Changemakers podcast. United Charitable is a national nonprofit that focuses on guiding you on your charitable journey. Whether you like to simply streamline your giving or you like to create your own charitable initiative, United Charitable has the knowledge and resources to support you. If you'd like to learn more, check out the link in our bio. But that totally makes sense about how you approach your clients. Now that I know that you were in the physical therapy route, it totally makes sense that you listen to what their goals are.
Yep.
And then you really create the plan that not best fits you.
No.
That best fits them.
Yes, correct. I mean, our industry's broken. I probably shouldn't be saying this, and the regulators don't like when I say this, but it's broken. I mean, they're incentivized, our industry is incentivized to convince you to spend less. The less you spend, the more we make. And the more generic, cookie cutter we make plans, the more scalable, more streamlined, the more profitable they can be. Well, frankly, I'm not saying this to be arrogant. I'm fortunate, blessed to have more resources than I'll ever spend. And it's not a game to me. I want to change people's lives. And the way I can impact and change people's lives is showing them how to have a retirement without a fear and anxiety. That's why I brought my brother with the psychology background into our firm, because we quickly learn how much of this is behavioral.
And so why do you think, though, that most clients, they do get hesitant to work with financial advisors?
They do.
They're mostly, if they're sick, they'll go to the doctor. Do you know what I mean? For even their taxes, they'll go to a CPA. But like a financial advisor, why do you think there's a stigma out there for that?
I love that you said that, because that's sort of our rule. So I guess that's one of the other unique aspects to our firm is we'll only accept about 50% of the people that want our help. And it has nothing to do with their net worth. I don't care what you have. It's, are you going to let me be the doctor? You don't go to the doctor's office and tell them what medicine you should take or what procedure you should have.
Right.
Now, in the financial service industry, you do, because our industry is an industry of salespeople, not real financial planners.
Right.
They fool themselves in the financial service industry and they say, oh, we can stock pick and market time and we have a better algorithm than... That's all not real. None of us can beat the index over any extended period of time.
Right. So
to really impact people and truly help people in this business, you really have to map it out for every type of, so Julia, we don't market time our investments.
Right.
We market time our income. So we don't change our investments based upon market conditions. We change where we're going to pull their retirement income from during different market conditions. That requires a lot of planning up front in back testing, stress testing, all these different scenarios, and where can I pivot to when we have these bad times. And then taxes is a massive part of that. Taxes is the biggest piece.
And so when you started this firm, do you think the vision you had for it is what it is today?
Conceptually, it is, but what we're essentially doing now, very different. We learned so much.
I mean, just your studio, your educational classes, all the things that you do, all the things you bring to did you envision that, or?
No, Julia, when we first started, so my thought was, okay, I'm going to spend my 60 to 100 hours for every one of my clients, and I'm going to build out this customized plan, and I'm going to put it in front of them, and they're going to I will do whatever you want me to do. I want this. And the response for many years as we struggled to figure this out is, I don't understand it. I'm too afraid. And anxiety. Yeah. It's fight or flight.
Yep.
And so when they don't understand it, they run. Or they fight. Usually don't fight. They usually run. They find excuses to latch on to escape.
Yeah.
So we've had to pave our own path. So for example, if someone wants our help, our CFO for Fortune 500 companies, our econ professors from the University of Michigan, our pension fund managers from JP Morgan, our CPAs, our attorneys, who are all our clients in our private practices, hire us to take care of their retirement. I don't help them unless they spend 8 hours in a university master's level course that we teach at a lot of different universities around the country now.
Yeah.
So if they don't attend that class, we won't help them, because the only way I can get them through the anxiety is they have to at least have a basic understanding of why this comprehensive plan looks the way it is.
Right. There's such a lack in this country of financial literacy. And the fact that you're providing classes for I mean, we start earning money at the age of 14, 15.
Yes.
We're hustling, cutting loans, whatever we did, right? I babysat.
Me too.
Did you really?
Yeah.
But why do you think there's such a lack of education around financial literacy?
I don't have an answer to that.
Yeah.
But I think it would be one of the most impactful things that we can do in our less fortunate communities, underprivileged communities. Education in general is, I feel like we yell and scream about other things, but that's where it starts. That's where it starts. But if we can provide everybody, but particularly that community, just some basic financial literacy early, I think that changes significant outcomes in our world.
It's crazy to me, especially, and I mentioned to you, I teach community college, I teach accounting at night, and so I talk to a lot of new students, 18-year-olds, and they're already in credit card debt.
Yes.
They're already don't understand anything around payroll taxes. They understand nothing of the benefits that are provided to them. And it was funny because in one of my classes, I had somebody that was working for Starbucks, and Starbucks gives everything. Starbucks is a really great company, and it does give you stock, it gives you stuff.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh no, yeah, I didn't sit through that class." I'm like, it pays for your education. And I just think there's such a stigma around it, and this is my diagnosis, and you can be amused by it, but they think it's math and people that are not good with numbers, and they're just like, well, then I can't get it. No. It's like that fixed mindset that I'm not going to be able to understand it.
Yeah, and by the way, there's some really interesting statistics around that.
Yeah.
As people age, men, they tend to be way overconfident about their financial literacy and their financial abilities, and the loudest to speak.
Yeah.
Women are least confident, and what the research tells us, actually, the women are more confident than the men. I mean, competent.
Yes.
Not confident. Competent.
Yep.
And there is a whole, obviously, that's much deeper, but no, you don't have to be strong at math, especially in today's world. Everything's a calculator. Who uses?
There's an app, right?
There's an app, right?
Yeah.
No, it's just the core concepts: compound interest, the pros; compound interest, the cons; debt, right, versus savings.
Right.
So there's so many basics. So, I mean, really, that, and I think we'll probably talk about it, but we started over 10 years ago a foundation just to promote and provide these 8-hour master's level courses in all these universities for people within your 10 years of retirement through retirement. And I know you want to say something. I want you to know, right before COVID, we were ready to launch with some really large supporters in our community to go into high school to begin the financial literacy. And it wasn't just going to be what's an IRA, what's a Roth, what's a 401k, compounded. Right. I wanted to teach a little beyond, like a cost-benefit analysis around going to college. What college are you going to? What degree you're going to try to attain? What career do you hope to have? And what does that cost to, right? So am I going to University of Michigan to go be a school teacher? Now, it's fine as long as you go in with your eyes wide open and you understand the debt you are going to assume, that you easily could have went to a more affordable college to get the same degree, and your earning potential wouldn't have been any different. So but I think the exercise of doing the cost-benefit analysis part of it, along with the basics of financial literacy, really could have moved the needles for a lot of high school kids.
And so do you think the kind of instability of finances growing up is what really sparked, is that really just what then activated you for the Retirement Education Foundation?
It is. It 100%. That was people have had much worse
Oh, yeah, of course.
childhoods, but that roller coaster, that instability, lack of structure and confidence, and what does tomorrow look like, uncertainty. Well, it's led to, if you ask my children, I drive them crazy. Like, I can't leave the house without, well, if it's warm, I have to have this sweatshirt. I mean, this t-shirt. If it's cold, I need an extra pair of socks. I'm not exaggerating. I'm an over planner of everything.
Yeah.
So for sure it influenced, and it is why I'm teaching these classes, because we're making a really significant difference.
You know, and I'm so lucky because with this podcast, I get to speak to people about what activated them and what their causes are and what lights inside of them, all that fun stuff. And financial literacy is not things that most people get jazzed about. Kirk?
I would like to thank Athletes Charitable for sponsoring today's Inspired Changemakers Podcast. Athletes Charitable offers a concierge membership service that provides the tools and resources to build a legacy through service. Our athlete-led team has the first-hand experience and expertise to provide hands-on support that simplifies the entire process for athletes and entertainers to reach their social entrepreneurship goals and create lasting impact in their communities. To learn more, check out the link in the bio.
So I told you, philanthropy began really sort of unusually, just watching the way my father behaved and the things he did for others. Really, what inspired me around philanthropy was my wife, and I have to mention this. My wife Jessica,
make me cry.
And I'm going to get emotional because she is the most poor childhoods, you name it. It would be hard to imagine how bad her childhood. You name it, it's happened. I mean, horrific things happened to my wife, and to come through that, to become the woman she is remarkable. But to come through that without being angry and caring more about helping others is just special. And so I know the stigma sometimes of pageantry, it has a negative connotation to it. But pageantry, in my opinion, saved my wife's life. She had, I mean, her brothers were the first kids to emancipate their parents. I mean, they were physically abused. You name the abuse, they had it. Abandoned, no food, no nothing. Horrific childhood. And so she early on got into pageantry for family.
Yeah.
For that structure, for that, to build up her self-esteem.
Right.
And through pageantry, she learned philanthropy. And she taught me about philanthropy. And she introduced me and took me around and showed me the impact it had on people's lives and what we could do to change people. And it was really, that's where it all started. It didn't start with me, it started with Jessica. She's the driver.
So can you tell me a client that you really felt the impact that you created?
One particular client? So a big part of our practice, we have taught people to have the financial security and have that confidence to be able to then support charity. And through proper planning, not only are they going to be able to support charity, but they get tremendous tax benefits.
Right.
I mean, the type of planning that is often available for that ultra high net worth, that $50 million plus family that has that family office that maps it out and develops the foundations, the charitable trusts, and all these structures. That's what we've done. We've brought it down to the core of our practice. I mean, we've got the $80 million clients, but the core is that $1 to $10 million family that doesn't have access to it, but has the ability to give. So for me to choose one, I can't, because I literally have hundreds. It's such a major part of our practice when I can show people that over a 30-year retirement, they come out because of tax savings net ahead by giving to charity, and then I can that's my way to introduce them into charity. And once I get them in, right? I mean, now there's a sense of purpose as they age. They can engage, they have something to be involved with, and they can see the change. Why are we waiting until you die to leave money to charity? Because you're afraid you're going to outlive it. Well, if I can show you're not going to outlive it, let's give it while you're alive so you can be a part of it and really impact people's lives. And so I can't give you one because there really is. I mean, there's hundreds of my clients.
So I want to just talk about the numbers very quickly.
Yes.
$70 million that you have helped your clients commit to charity.
Yes.
Through different charitable vehicles.
Yep. Yes.
When
That's
you
a big
think
number.
when you think about that and you think about what your impact could be, but it's not just that. It's you then teaching them the next generation that giving's important. This is how it feels to give.
Yeah, that was a big part for us too. My wife convinced me of this early. Now, my family, my children are privileged.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they're great kids. Don't get me wrong, but my biggest fear
They're
is
also both like superstar athletes.
Thank you.
That have a ton of discipline.
They are. I'm very lucky, and I
Yeah.
again attribute to my wife because she is. You say no, there's no no in her.
Right.
She's going to find she's a survivor. And
Love
they
it.
take that from her. Right.
Yeah.
They're so
That's
driven.
great.
But that was part of our family. Once we financially did so well, and she convinced me, look, let's use philanthropy, our donor advice funds. I mean, we've raised hundreds of millions of dollars for charity now.
Oh yeah.
But we utilize we incorporate our children in, and so they're involved. They get to make decisions. They have to do research on the charities that they're going to give to. They need to understand who they're giving to, and then we'll let them give as long as they've done the homework to those charities, so that they too will continue to pass this down generationally.
And I think what's even more impressive is you're about to have a client event.
Yep.
And what is it centered around?
Around charitable giving. It is.
For the second year in a row now, right?
Yes, yes. Well, last year, what did we raise? $150,000.
Yeah.
I really hope we do over $200,000 this year, right? I mean, my theory is two things. One is for a lot of these people, it is behavioral, right? I've got these people within 10 years of retirement through retirement, and so when they come to us, we build these retirement plans.
Yeah.
That often will incorporate some sort of donor advised funds, or as they get older, qualified charitable distributions, or the CRATs or CRUTs.
Right.
But they have been saving money and serving money their whole lives.
Right.
Right? Their relationship with money is about to change. They need to now let money serve them so that they can have the freedom to spend. Spending isn't easy for some of these people who have been just serving and saving money. So now I've got, we have all these dollars in donor advice funds, that it can't end there because it's still there. They can see it. I describe it almost like a charitable savings account.
That's exactly what we say. Yep.
It's your own charitable savings account. But they aren't used to giving like that. So I got to coach them and train them and teach them. And so we incorporate that into our client appreciation events.
What do you think is the underlying principle that gave you the abundance mentality? The more you give, the more you'll receive.
Well, I feel like I've lived it to some degree. For my wife and I to be, and we're going to write a book one day, and unfortunately in today's society, you still have to be careful about disclosing things about your childhood because we're responsible for thousands of people, $2 billion, and they have to have confidence that we're competent, right?
Yeah.
So, but, given where we came from, I mean, I'm as ADD as the day is long. I was in special ed when I was a kid. And this is the first time I've ever said this on camera. I don't think any of my clients or anyone know. I was in special ed as a kid. I struggled, right?
Yeah.
And so many people helped me. And without their help, I wouldn't have gotten here. So I know through education and true talk, not, and I don't want to be too political, but not through, I think, real talk about helping people to see what their potential really is. And that's one of our mottos in our firm. Tiffany.
Yeah.
She started as an administrator. She's now our head of our marketing team.
Yeah.
I got another person started as a receptionist. In 2 years, he's now in financial planning.
Right.
I've got people that started as receptionists now on my executive committee.
Right.
So my whole life, because people did it for me, is about now trying to improve people's life to get the best out of them. Not to make, and I'm not picking, I'm not trying to be political, not allowing victimization, not being a victim, and I'm trying to be careful not to offend anybody.
Yeah.
But okay, yes, bad things have happened to you, and yes, I was a victim. I had learning disabilities. I had all kinds of crutches.
Yeah.
That I did hang on to for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I stopped saying I was a victim and it's not my fault until I was able to do this. So I tried to teach people, all these bad things happen, but here's how you can do it. And here's your potential. And here's the opportunities. And let me help you.
Yeah. And with this podcast, being able to sit down and actually, I wasn't going to start the podcast because I had I wanted a million different things to be different in order for me to start a podcast, right? And put myself out there in that kind of way with what I'm vulnerable with. But learning why people have activated and why they do the things they do and how they want to see the world be a better place. It's so inspiring, and really seeing and working with you for the last 8 to 10 years, whatever it may be, has been incredible because you really do believe in your clients.
Oh yeah.
And not only do you believe in them, when they get excited, because I'll tell you the story. When I came to one of your first client events, I'm a professional football fan. I am not a college football fan. And I thought University of Michigan and Michigan State were the same thing.
Okay, gotcha.
And somebody
that was a mistake here.
Yeah, huge mistake. And somebody's like, did you process my donor advice? Did you process our distribution to the wrong school? Like, it was the funniest conversation. But what I realized about your client base is they are the most real, honest people that I've really been able to come in contact with. And they really care.
It's awesome. I'm glad. I hope that we've helped contribute to that.
Yeah.
What I hope we've done is, another unique thing that we do in our practice that I think helps contribute to some of this is we spend a lot of resources to produce a TV show every 2 weeks just for our clients. It's not for the public, it's for our clients. And the purpose of the TV show is just continue to educate about their plans, all the different levers, and if this happens, then this is, so that whatever we can do to give them the confidence. And so I'm glad you noticed that about our clients, because they have a lot less stress and anxiety about retirement. There's less fear. So when there's less fear, they're happier, they're more giving, they're more generous.
But also, too, you think about the number one things that breaks up marriages, the number one things people fight about
100%.
is finances.
100%. 100%.
And when you can come in and give people that reassurance to start enjoying their life.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Yes. I know you do podcasts and you talk to a lot of people. And there are some people that are really good at telling a story. And sometimes it's real and sometimes it's not. Why I wanted to do this with you, and I was excited to do this with you, is that you've been around it for 8 to 10 years, and you know it's not a story. And so it's real, and that's important to us. It's sad that when I'm in public, if people don't know me, and people ask me, so what do you do for a living? I avoid the question. That is how embarrassed almost I am and disgusted. And if people who are advisors or in the financial world are going to kill me for this, but I am, because I don't, in my heart, I know that the majority of people do not trust people in our industry, right? And they're good at talking, they're good at selling. And that's why I agreed to do this, is because this is true, this is real, and it was going to be more authentic.
And what I want people to get out of this conversation is talk to your financial advisor about charitable giving.
Oh my gosh.
Talk to them about the legacy you want to leave behind. Talk to them literally. All the statistics say that the first person you ask about philanthropy is your spouse. The second person is your financial advisor. So if you are a financial advisor that doesn't know anything about charitable giving and you're the number 2 resource that's being asked, how are you serving your clients?
Yeah, my message would be so stop focusing on how to generate more leads and focus on truly helping the clients you have. And if you do it right, those clients will give you the leads. You don't have to go dinner seminar. You don't have to do all the nonsense and hire all the marketing agencies. Take the clients you have.
Yeah.
And then really do planning. Learn a little bit about taxes.
Yeah.
Then utilize charitable planning. Educate your clients. And then they are going to be your best advocates. You don't need to do all this other nonsense to sell.
And
But you got to be patient.
And the number one thing that you said when you sat down to talk with me today is when you started in this industry, you reached out to people and you had mentors.
Yes.
It is okay to ask for help.
For sure. For sure. I still have several mentors today that I'm using regularly because talk once a week with, it ends up being once a week, every 2 weeks with 2 different people. So you don't know what you don't know. And the key is you got to find people you trust so that when someone tells you you don't know something and you're wrong, that you believe them.
Yeah.
You got to be able to believe them. So that's, they've helped me grow. They've helped me learn. This is a very challenging business model, Julia, right? I mean, we're saying no to 50% of the people and
labor intensive.
Oh yeah, I've got over 1,000 customized, individualized plans that every one is unique, different portfolios. By the way, you financial advisors, I'm sorry if anyone's, I don't believe in mutual funds. We use individual stocks, individual bonds, and ETFs. No private placements, no REITs. It's all nonsense for people within 10 years of retirement. It isn't what you invest in that's going to drive your performance in retirement. It's how and when you take income and how little taxes you pay that's going to drive performance. That's where charitable giving can help, but it requires them to not take the short path. Right. Not, do you want to buy this mutual fund or this variable annuity?
Right.
Come on. No.
Right.
Build a plan, show them how to save taxes, educate them, and then engage in philanthropy, and you can make a huge difference.
Well, Kirk, thank you so much for coming on today. This has been amazing conversation. I really admire everything that you've been able to build and your commitment to philanthropy, and I'm excited to attend tomorrow night.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Find Inspired Changemakers on Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and comment on all the awesome things you are doing to make this world a better place. Don't forget to subscribe.